Hi, Spicewood kiddos. Today for our story, we are going to read a book called Diego Rivera, His World and Ours. So we're going to learn a little bit more about Diego Rivera, an artist that is from Mexico. It says, Diego Rivera was born in Mexico in a city called Guanajuato, which means land of the frogs. As a boy, Diego enjoyed playing with his trains, but more than anything, he liked to draw. Oh goodness, look, there he is doing some drawing already. Diego loved drawing so much that when he was a young man, he sailed on a ship across the ocean. He went to the city of Madrid in Spain to study art under the direction of a well-known painter. There, he learned the classical way to paint, which means that most of his paintings looked very realistic. Some even looked like photographs. So he did such a wonderful job that it could have been a picture almost. After his studies, Diego went to Paris, the capital of France, where he met young artists who were painting in new and exciting ways. He experimented with these new methods of painting himself. One was called Cubism, in which the painting did not exactly represent its subject, but it was composed of geometric shapes, such as squares, circles, and triangles. So now that Diego has learned how to do things very realistically, he's trying some new ways of expressing himself, and he's trying some new techniques. One day, a politician named Jose Velasquez urged Diego to return to Mexico. He wanted Diego and other artists to paint murals on the city around about Mexican people's history and customs. Diego was thrilled by this new project. That's exciting. So he's traveling back home to Mexico. When he returned to his homeland, Diego traveled through the deserts and the mountains and the jungles. He wanted to be inspired by his country. He met people who worked the land, and he visited the ruins of ancient Mexican civilizations like the Aztecs and the Maya. So the first thing he did when he got back to his country, to Mexico, is he did lots of traveling, and he met the people who live in his country, and he learned more about them. There he is, shaking hands. I'm sure they're telling him all kinds of stories and showing them what's important about their community and what they do. Diego was full of ideas after his trips. With the help of friends and apprentices, he began to paint murals on large walls so that everyone in his country, rich, poor, young, and old, could see and learn from them. In his murals, Diego combined the classical way of painting he had learned as a young man and the styles of art that he had experimented with abroad. But he merged them in a simple yet elegant form of ancient Mexican art that he had grown passionate about after his travels. So he took some of the things that he learned about how to make things realistically, and he took some of the things that he learned about how to express himself in a creative way, and he took some of the things that he learned on his trip about the people of Mexico, and he began to paint murals of the Mexican people, and he painted them on the walls. On the walls of a very important government building, Diego painted the history of his country. He painted the struggle of the Mexican people to break free from the Spanish king. He also painted the fight that took place many years later when farmers and workers defended themselves against greedy men who were taking advantage of them. So he's really painting here the history of his country. Diego painted his country's dances and traditions and the love of dance of the coastal area. Dances of Los Listones, which is a ribbon dance from the south, like this. He wanted to celebrate the things that were special to Mexico, and he wanted Mexicans from all distant parts of the land to learn about their culture and to feel proud. So he's painting about the history of his country. He's painting about the traditions and the cultures in his country. Diego lived to be an old man, and by the time he passed away, he had created many wonderful artworks and was celebrated by people in Mexico and all around the world. But if he were alive today, what would he paint? What would he paint? The way we dress and live? Would he paint the way that we play? So these are modern day kiddos and people. Look, they've got robots, they're skateboarding, they've got scooters, they have all kinds of incredible things, laptops and things. So the book is wondering, if Diego was alive, how would he portray Mexico now? Would he paint a big city? So here's all the people. This might look like something maybe you've seen before if you've been out traveling on the road, or if you've been downtown on the metro rail, or maybe even if you've been to a big city that has something like a subway. So it's saying, would he paint a big city the way he painted the Aztec city of Teotihuacan? I always say that incorrectly. So look, here is that. Do you think that would be important? Would he paint students at their desks? Look at this. We are familiar with this. Just as he painted factory workers in a production line. So one of the things that he painted was people doing their jobs. So do you think if he was painting now, maybe he might paint kids in a school? Maybe Diego would paint shops at the mall, just like he painted street vendors that were selling flowers. So one of his very famous paintings is of a beautiful woman who is selling flowers. That was her job. So maybe Diego would imagine if he would make some murals about what it's like when we go to buy flowers or clothes or things that we might need. Would Diego paint our craze for monsters and creatures from outer space as he painted the god of the feathered serpent? Look at this. So in, I believe, the Aztec tradition, they believe in a serpent god that flies through the air. So maybe in current day, there are people who believe in aliens and all kinds of things. Maybe he would paint those. Diego's murals teach us about the past, but they also show us a better future for the common people. Diego imagined everyone, men and women, boys and girls of all ages and all nationalities, living together and caring for one another. Today, Diego is not around to make this happen, so it is up to us to make our own murals and to bring them to life. So there's lots of information here about Diego. One of my favorite things about him is that he painted onto walls, and he was very passionate about why he painted and shared his artwork on walls like that, because he believed that artwork shouldn't be in a museum or hanging on the wall of someone's very fancy home where no one could see it. He believed that everyone, no matter how much money you had, should be able to view artwork and to see it and to have that experience. So he painted on walls where everyone could see it. So I want you to think about how you would express your community. Now, some things have happened recently in our history. We're going through kind of a tough time as a country, and we're all working together to make sure that everyone is safe, right? Maybe you might make a mural that shows that, of people helping each other and supporting each other. Maybe you might make a mural today or a practice drawing of a tradition that you have in your community, of your faith community, possibly a dance that you do, a celebration that you have, possible festivities and things like that. Maybe yours could be about something that's recently happened in history. We had an inauguration just not too long ago. There have been lots of things that have been happening here, not only in our community, but in our country. Or maybe you just want your mural to be about what kids are up to today, or maybe what school looks like right now. Let's look at that picture of the kids in school. How does school look different right now than this picture? You might be sitting at a computer at home, but I bet there aren't other kids there unless they're your brother or sister. And if you're here at school, what does it look like? How is it different? So you're going to open up your sketchbook, and I want you to draw an idea for a mural that tells me something about your history, your community, your family or faith traditions, things that you might do with your friends and family, any of those things that tells me more about you and the community that you live in. Because Diego Rivera really believed that art was for everyone, and also that everyone should be in the art, that everyone should be able to see the artwork, but also that everyone was a worthy participant in being in a piece of art. So open up your sketchbook, and I want you to draw for me what your mural would be. So think about where it might be. Would it be here at school? Would it be on a wall in a park? Would it be at a building that you go to with your family, maybe for faith services or something that you do in your community? Think about what you want to share. So, can't wait to see how you're inspired by Diego Rivera. Open up your sketchbook and get started on a design for a mural. If only we could paint them on the wall. That'd be pretty exciting. So, bye for now.